making faces. Ta-da! We're live.
We live. Hello, this is George.
Hey, morning.
This is Adonai Sanctuary Truth Classroom. Today is Tuesday, March 17th. St. Patrick's Day is what they call it. I call it something that happened 55 years ago. I got out of the Army.
Today.
And I drove a lady to the airport, and I pulled out of these gates here at 10 o'clock, and that's the exact time I pulled out of the Fort Ritchie, Maryland, leaving the Army. I thought that was kind of cool.
And also, like you said, would have been.
Okay, we got a little bit of a reading here before we get into, and George quits scouting ahead and listens, he might learn something. One thing that stands out when you study Samuel is that all of the great people of Israel in Samuel start as if they were on or heading on the right track. Have you ever seen someone start out for Adonai, then they get a big head about themselves, or they turn more to their own desire than, you might say, what Adonai, and you see how they influence their family, friends, and you might even say their church, that they have all the answers. They ride high with their own brainwashing and show others how to receive by following them. Interesting statement.
Very.
It's like the race. When you see the runner get that lead at first, leaving everybody behind. Yes, he has a great start, but falters towards the end or the middle of the race because he used all of his best at the start. But someone who learned to not run out of strength toward the middle of the race is the one who gets the prize in the end. In other words, that's a pretty good statement. The Hebrews at times would go out for Adonai, and then they lose track of who he was.
Good. Several times.
Just like when they were running the race. Here's a shocker. Most leaders in Samuel, of the Hebrew nation run their own race and turn away from Adonai to a self-proclaimed ruler of Israel. You might say without realizing it, and to some, it became an ego problem. Now, we didn't have that in what they call churches today, would they? Oh, no.
All brand new.
No. They never put themselves higher than...
Oh, no.
Tom wrote something, what did he say?
To this point, we call that book the Bible. The way Israel kept following them. Then walk away too often. Yeah.
Gee, I wonder what that sounds like. I think it sounds just about like today. Thinking too highly of oneself, yes, even turning away from the truth to gain earthly power, which is taken away by Adonai, and if not followed, then his family will not receive Adonai's blessings either. Now, that's a lot of talk, and there's a lot of truth there. And really, what Tom said is what the Israelites did. But what are the people doing today? Same thing what Tom said. These books called 1st and 2nd Samuel, you will see what happens when the judges, prophets, and kings act like a great starter. Is all you need, without looking to or at the end of their journey. Keep that in mind as we make our way through these books. Then look at any so-called Christian religion. Look who they follow, who they are imitating, who leads them, And in the end, where they and you will end up because of their leaders' brainwashing. Well, you ready? Let's get started. I'm a nut kid.
Let's get started. I'll see if I can mess up those first.
Yeah, she's got a lot of hard words to read this time, so
Well, yeah.
Be
Most
careful.
of it's at the very beginning.
my sweetie's going to read First Samuel 1 through 3.
Wrong page.
I had the second page on there. You're going to start out with verse 20.
Okay.
First Samuel
Read it
1,
backwards.
1 through 3, please.
I'll read it backwards, huh? There was a man from Ramathaim, Tuzfirm.
You want him to pronounce all those?
Yeah, I can mess them up as well. In the land of Ephraim, whose name was Elkanan, the son of Urachan, the son of Elihu, the son of Techu, the son of Tezum, from Ephrat. He had 2 wives, one named Hannah and the other Peninnah. Peninnah had children, but Hannah had no children. This man went up from his city every year to worship and sacrifice to Adonai Tezerat in Shiloh. The 2 sons, you said 1 through 3, right?
1 through 3.
Okay, that's what I'm reading. The sons of Eli, Hophni and Pinchas, were Kohanes of Adonai there. Who names their kids?
Back then, that might be a common name.
I
It might
suppose.
be like Fred today. The history of, and now I'm going to, every once in a while, I'll pronounce it the way it's written in the Hebrew Bible. It's Shmuel, Shemuel. And in English, we call it Samuel. So every once in a while, I'll probably goof up and call him Shemuel. Anyway, the history of Samuel's father in Shiloh, year after year, he sacrificed to Adonai Tezerat. And that the Lord of Heaven's army, or it could be classified the Lord of hosts, and even the Lord of the Shabbat. Here is the last judge to serve, and the man who was the first person to serve as priest and prophet for their first king by the name of Saul. Think about that statement. An honest priest and prophet would rule with Adonai's words. That's amazing.
Yeah, huh?
That statement right there is something that you don't find in the Bible. Yet a king just might rule the people for his own gain. No, we would never have a king or a priest like that, would we? How about looking at it as a king rules by impulse? What makes him feel good, what he thinks the country needs. A priest and prophet rule by what Adonai's words are. Interesting. That's interesting. Read 4 and 5, please.
One day, when Elkanan was sacrificing, he gave a portion of the sacrifice to his wife Peninnah, and portions to each of her sons and daughters. But to Hannah he gave a double portion, because he loved Hannah, even though Adonai had kept her from having children.
Shemuel's father, Elkanan, or how do you pronounce it, had 2 wives, like my sweetie said, Peninnah and Hannah. Up to this point, people had more than 1 wife. And through our studies, we see where Abraham, Jacob, also had more than 1. 2 of the main people in the beginning of Adonai's word had a number of wives. We read a paper that said that was not God's plan. Some priest wrote, that was not God's plan. Now, if it wasn't God's plan, then why did it happen in the New Testament? An awful lot.
The Old Testament?
The Old Testament, an awful lot. I guess this priest that wrote that paper knows more than Adonai does. But Some of the so-called priests state, well, that would be, we'd have to go to Genesis or Bereshit 2:24, please.
Oh, I lost it. Oh. This is why a man is to leave his father and mother and stick with his wife, and they are to be one flesh.
They state that the two will leave their father and mother and become one flesh. Interesting. Adonai would see Abraham and Jacob's wives, and from Jacob, well, you might say his 4 wives, 2 wives and 2 concubines, but his wives gave the concubines to him for wives too. 4 wives came to the 12 tribes of Israel. And 2 of Abraham's came to the people who were at war today.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go again. Have one wife he has one wife who doesn't have children, and one who does, Penesh and Hannah. Read 6, please.
Her rival taunted her and made her feel bad because Adonai had kept her from having children.
She was looked down on for not having children. Back then, to have children was the glory of God's blessings to you. You just read that Adonai is even in control of that. Our question to anyone is, if Adonai doesn't want you to have children, why would some cultures say it was an embarrassment? The other wife, Penesh, would do that, taunting all year long. Read 7, please.
He did the same every year, and each time she went to the house of Adonai, she taunted her so much that she would cry and not eat.
But Elkahan, her husband, did the same thing year after year. Then the husband kind of puts a little added pressure without really trying. Read 8, please.
Her husband Elkanah said to her, Hannah, why are you crying? And why aren't you eating? Why be so sad? Am I not better to you than 10 sons?
Seeing how hard she was on herself, he stated, aren't I better than 10 sons? In her depression, she went to the temple of Adonai to pray. Read 9 and 10, please.
So Hannah got up after they had finished eating and drinking in Shiloh. Eli the Kohen was sitting on his seat by the doorpost at the temple of Adonai. In deep depression, she prayed to Adonai and cried. 9 and 10.
Yeah, that's what I said. She was in great sorrow when she made a vow to Adonai. Adonai, here's the deal. Listen, Adonai, here's the deal. Read 11, please.
Then she took a vow. She said, Adonai Tezerah, if you will notice how humiliated your servant is, if you will remember me and not forget your servant, but will give your servant a male child, then I will give him to Adonai for as long as he lives, and no razor will ever come on his head.
Interesting. You give me this male child to me, then I'll give him back to you. But the Kohanim, the priest, didn't understand what or how she was making this deal with Adonai. Read 12, please.
She prayed for a long time before Adonai, and as she did so, Eli was watching her mouth. He said just 12. Right?
Mm-hmm. The priest, or Kohen, Eli, was watching her mouth, but didn't hear her personal silent prayer. So he jumped to conclusions. Read 13, please.
Hannah was speaking in her heart. Her lips moved, but her voice could not be heard. So Eli thought she was drunk.
she's drunk.
Talking to herself.
Eli went to her and said, Lady? No, read 14, please.
Eli said to her, how long are you going to stay drunk? Stop drinking your wine.
By your actions, you look drunk. How long do you want to stay that way? Lady, stop drinking so much wine. Read 15, please.
But Hannah answered, no, my lord, I am a very unhappy woman. I have not drunk either wine or other strong liquor. Rather, I've been pouring out my soul before Adonai.
I'm unhappy, not drunk. You, sir, have jumped to the wrong conclusion, she might as well have said. I haven't had any wine or strong alcohol. Haven't you ever seen a person pour out their soul to Adonai before? Then Hannah seems to set him straight, well, a little. Read 16, please.
Don't think of your servant as a worthless woman, because I have been speaking from the depths of my distress and anger.
Is she asking this priest? Now I like this part. I don't know where I come up with this. Was she asking this priest, why do you assume I'm a worthless woman? When I go to Adonai in time of distress and anger, then Eli covers his tracks, you might say. Read 17, please. Need one of these, George?
Then Eli replied, go in peace. May the God of Israel grant what you have asked for.
Yeah, he covers his tracks this time. He says, go, and may Adonai grant you your request. Whatever it was. Until this time, I don't think she ever told him. Somehow, Hannah found peace in what he said. Read 18 and 19, please.
She replied, may your servant find favor in your sight. So the woman went on her way, and she ate, and her face was no longer sad. They got up early in the morning and worshipped before Adonai, then returned and came to their house in Ramah. Elkanah had sexual relations with Hannah, his wife, and Adonai remembered her.
She ate and was no longer sad. You read 18 and 19, right? Mm-hmm. She ate and was no longer sad. They worshipped Adonai and went to Ramah, their home. By the way, that was about, I looked it up, about 10 miles to the south of Shiloh. He knows his wife Hannah I looked that up. I read it in a bunch of different. He knows his wife Hannah. So I looked that word up in every Bible that I used to study in. And it says stuff like, he knew her. He lay with her. They came together. Read 19 again. What did they really do?
They got up early in the morning and worshipped before Adonai, then returned and came to their house in Ramah. Elkanah had sexual relations with Hannah, his wife, and Adonai remembered her.
Oh my goodness, George. Mm-hmm. It actually says in the Hebrew Bible.
Sex?
They had sexual relations. Yet one Bible stated they had intercourse.
Uh-oh.
Why? What's going on here? We can't tell people that's what really happened. Her husband and the husband and wife was having sex? How do you think your priest, yes, even your pope, come into existence? By two people having that sex. Only Adonai can do it any other way. Now you who are stating, how about artificial insemination? People, you still have to have the sperm and the egg coming together. Only Adonai has not used those with Adam and Eve. Maybe before then, in the first humankind starts also. Well, you don't want to say too much about that, but they had chapter 1 of Genesis also is history. Interesting how society doesn't want you to, want you to read about what Adonai created to populate the earth and for humankind satisfaction, you might say, of a man and a woman. Interesting.
Yep.
I don't know where I come up with this stuff. 1 Samuel 1, verse 20, please.
She conceived, and in due time she gave birth to a son, whom she named Samuel, because I asked Samuel for him.
The interesting part of that writing is when Hannah says she asked Adonai for the child. It says in English she named him Samuel, but in the Hebrew it's Shemuel. The time came for the annual sacrifice. You know, she's going to go back to that priest. Or is she? Right away. Read 21, please.
Her husband Elkanah went up with all the household to offer the yearly sacrifice to Adonai and fulfill his vow. 21.
Yeah, read to fulfill Elkanah's vow. He and all his family. Read 22.
But Hannah did not go up, explaining to her husband, "Not till the child has been weaned, then I will bring him, so that he can appear before Adonai and live there forever."
Now, this is one of the only times, or one of the first times I can remember, where a wife would tell a husband, "No, I'm not going to do that. The child and I are staying home." Well, Shemuel, until he's weaned. Then we will go with the household to Shiloh and with you, and we will leave our child there forever. Now, wait a minute. The child was going to stay there forever, and she was begging to have him. How much faith did you have in Adonai? Read 23, please.
Her husband Elkanah answered her, "Do what seems good to you. Stay here until you have weaned him. Only may Adonai bring about what he said." So the woman stayed behind and nursed the child until she weaned him.
No, I know I put this in more simple terms, but her husband said, "Okay." When she read, "May Adonai bring about what he said," Adonai brought to Hannah her, you might say, pride and joy, and after the child is weaned, she will give her pride and joy back to the one who gave her that promise, Adonai. Read 24, please.
After weaning him, she took him up with her, along with 3 young goats, a bushel of flour, and a skin of wine, and brought him to the house of Adonai in Shiloh, even though he was just a child.
The time came. He was weaned. We wonder why the 3 young bulls were for the 3, if they were for the 3 years she was nursing the child. If so, she nursed Shemuel for 3 years before she gave him to Adonai forever. Now, it could have been longer, but when you read that and study it, she gave 3 young goats or bulls or whatever it was for him. And I would assume that would be the offering for each year, 1 goat or 1 bull. Now, that's my that's my guess, so I don't know how old he was when he was weaned. Do you think she was preparing the child for this moment of separation? Ever since the day he was born? Do you think that even at age 3 or 4 or 5, there was an understanding of the importance of this act? Those are some interesting questions about a child and really the mother and father giving them away. He was her answer to her prayer, and now he would be the greatest judge Israel ever had and prophet. Now comes the hard part. Read 25 through 27.
After the bull had been slaughtered, the child was brought to Eli. And she said, "My Lord, as surely as you live, my Lord, I am the woman who stood here near you praying to Adonai. I prayed for this child, and Adonai has granted the request I have asked of him."
My Lord, Eli, I'm the woman you thought was drunk. Do you remember that? I explained then my sorrow, and you said, Adonai, grant this woman her request, and he did. Interesting. When you put all that together. Now, how about alone? What in the world do I mean by that? How about alone? Read 28, please.
Therefore, I too have loaned him to Adonai. As long as he lives, he is on loan to Adonai. And he prostrated himself there before Adonai.
I'll loan you my child, Samuel, to Adonai for as long as he lives. We like this part. He is on loan to Adonai. Is that letting his new owner, if he wants to return the loan, that option is still open to her if he wishes. Interesting way to view that writing, and the child started his training that very day. But that's the way it sounds. We believe somewhere around age 3 to 5. I don't know why I really believe that, but that's how I wrote it. And guess what? That's the end of chapter 1.
Yeah.
Chapter 2 is next week.
Is next week.
Isn't that interesting? Now, I don't know about you, George or Sweetie, but if you couldn't have a child for a lengthy period of time and people were looking down on you, and then you get one by praying, and then you give him up at age 3 to 5, that had to be really hard for her to do.
I couldn't fathom.
Jeez.
That had to have,
I couldn't
that she
imagine.
had to be really, I mean really sincere when she made that vow.
I couldn't fathom. Mm-mm.
I hope people understood the importance of that place, that writing in that area, in that situation. It wasn't just as simple as what I've ever heard a priest say. It had to be a real difficult situation. What did Tom say? I don't have my glasses on anymore.
Better to keep your word to Adonai than be selfish.
Yeah.
But it'll be tough.
Yes, true.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy.
And I know everybody that watches is always keeps their word to Adonai.
Yep.
I hope you all have a good week, whether you're watching it now or you watch it later. And I'll even say this. If you don't watch it, I hope you have a good week.
Okay.
Have a good one. Bye.